Monopoly is one of, if not the most iconic board game of all time, and there have been a lot of versions of it. I mean a lot. I mean a lot. And they get weird. Now, I assume we're all at least a little familiar with licensed editions of Monopoly, and some of them make a lot of sense, stuff like The Simpsons, going around the board buying locations from the show as properties. Others are Candy Crush Edition. Seriously, do they make enough money selling these to warrant even printing them? They must, because they keep doing it. Like Heinz Monopoly. Is anyone really a big enough ketchup fan that they would buy this? I am. Monopoly Junior Cars 2 Edition. On its own, not that weird, except it's Junior Monopoly, so it's for young kids, and instead of rolling dice, you spin Lightning McQueen around a roulette wheel. Gotta get them started young early so they can play Foxwoods Resort Casino Monopoly. Black 31. Congratulations, sir, you've just won $30,000. I'm gonna buy Monopoly from the gift shop! Monopoly M&M's Collector's Edition. Travel the board buying up M&M's ads instead of properties, playing as either the M&M's logo, an M&M's dispenser, green's boot, blue's sacks, orange the man, and red and yellow is one piece. Well, of course you can't separate red and yellow. They're lovers. In between the licensed versions, Hasbro occasionally liked to release a version that shook up the gameplay and rules a little bit, like with Miss Monopoly, which bridged the gender gap and brought men and women together to say that Miss Monopoly is bad. The big change in rules between Monopoly and Miss Monopoly is that at the start of the game, women get $1,900, while men only get $1,500. I guess the non-binary aren't allowed to play. And when passing go, women get $240, while men get the standard $200. Properties here are replaced by woman-made inventions, the second most expensive being stem cell isolation. Now, what do you think that the creators of Miss Monopoly put above stem cell isolation? Chocolate chip cookies. They also took out the houses and hotels, replacing them with just one building that you can only have one of called a headquarters, as well as removing the railroads. As you can imagine, when Hasbro released a version of Monopoly where women were given an advantage and the rules were simplified, the general woman populace wasn't exactly thrilled about that. Next up, we have Monopoly Alan Turing Edition, a Monopoly to honor the life of famed mathematician and theoretical computer scientist Alan Turing. All the properties have been replaced with places important to Turing's life, and Turing's face adorns the game's board and cash. Now, the story goes Turing actually did play a game of Monopoly once with his mentor's son, Max, on a board Max had designed himself. And that board was used as a basis when designing the board for the Alan Turing Edition. Except was it? Because this just looks like a regular Monopoly board. Alan Turing isn't the only person to have their own version of Monopoly. Monopoly Britney Spears Edition, released at only the height of her popularity, 2023. We also have John Wayne Edition, which will be the third thing I think of when I think about John Wayne now. And you know, I never would have pegged Muhammad Ali as a Monopoly guy, but here's a picture of him playing it, so what do I know? Now, don't get me wrong, I like the Hallmark Channel as much as the next guy, but I just wish I could play this only 1 month out of the year. Thank Christ. Monopoly Hallmark Channel Countdown to Christmas Edition. Someone once received this as a Christmas gift once. Ruminate on that. How is it Countdown to Christmas? Am I supposed to take a turn once per day leading up to Christmas like an advent calendar? I somehow went bankrupt on the 12th. Is Santa still coming this year? Speaking of Christmas, do you think there's a kid out there who begged their parents for Fall Guys only for them to get him Monopoly Fall Guys Edition? American Chopper Edition, John Deere Edition, Golf Edition. These all feel like Father's Day gifts you get that dad you don't really like that much. Originally, I wanted to make fun of the Pizza Edition, but the box is kind of cute, so I'll let it slide. Now, with a lot of these, I do get it, actually. I'm sure someone out there is a big enough fan to warrant all 4 Nightmare Before Christmas editions. But has anyone been at the store and saw Monopoly Belkin Edition and said, I love phone chargers! For all these versions based on corporations, it has to be the corporations paying Hasbro to make them, right? I'm sure Hasbro wasn't chomping at the bit to make Monopoly Hewlett-Packard Edition. I guess some of them do make a form of sense, like the ones for investment companies or even better real estate companies, but who are these really for outside of employees of those corporations? Well, John, how's it feel to be retiring after 55 years? It feels good, but I gotta say, part of me is gonna miss this place. We thought you might say that, so we all pitched in and got you a little something to remember us by. Oh, you shouldn't have. Now, some of these versions are for some much more recognizable brands. Your standard Target Edition, Sephora Edition, Best Buy Edition. You know, stuff you'd find at those respective stores. Holy piss, is that the iconic Best Buy mascot? What do you mean you don't know who this is? Monopoly Trump Entertainment Resorts Collector's Edition, because Trump is such a notoriously good businessman. You gotta wonder what the community chest cards are like in this one. Uh-oh, your name is in the Epstein files. Pay $200 or go directly to jail. For Monopoly's 75th anniversary, Hasbro released Monopoly Revolution Edition. Happy birthday. Here's a circle. Yes, what we have here is not a game about overthrowing our capitalist oppressors, but instead is just Monopoly with a circular board. Outside of an ugly board, this game also ditches the paper money in favor of electronic banking, despite the fact that handling the paper money is 70% of the fun to be had with Monopoly. Monopoly Horse Lovers Edition. I think horses are just okay. When will there be a Monopoly for me? Now this one is funny enough on its own, but take a moment to admire the chance cards. Apple. I wanted to talk about Monopoly Socialism Edition, but the rules are so goddamn complicated I can't even make jokes about this. I'm just gonna assume the people who made this don't know anything about socialism and move on. Now, of course, there are monopolies based on real places in the real world. That's really not that interesting on its own. I just wanted an excuse to bring up that a place called Wagga Wagga actually exists. Now, maybe you're thinking, these monopolies so far have been great, but I just wish it was 20 times the price. Do I have a Monopoly Luxury Edition for you? This version comes with a solid wood board that holds all the pieces and costs more than I make in a year. There's also the similarly priced Monopoly Heirloom Edition. Heirloom, am I supposed to pass it down for generations? To my youngest son Rupert, I leave the house, the boat, and my electronics company. To my oldest son Stephen, I leave the Monopoly. Now, we've looked at some weird monopolies today, but I think I've narrowed down my top 3 strangest. Think about the classic debates. Coke versus Pepsi. Waffles versus pancakes. Unicorns versus llamas. Wait, what? Yes, the Monopoly game centered on the iconic feud between Equine and Camelidae. From what I've seen, it's more focused on team play and has some simplified rules, most likely for younger kids, which makes sense. The thing is, it came out in 2019, which just feels like 5 to 7 years too late. For our runner-up, do you have someone in your life who loves Super Bowl 31? I have terrible news. Monopoly Super Bowl 32 edition, focusing on the 1998 Super Bowl between the Packers and the Broncos. Did they make a Super Bowl for any other years? Nope. Okay, that's kind of a lie, because they did make a Monopoly Giants Super Bowl 42 Champion Edition in 2008, but that one just doesn't feel the same. And finally, in our number 1 spot is Monopoly Sun-Made Edition. Raisins. Sun-made raisins? Not even like the California Raisins Band or anything. Who would actually buy the— ooh, it's 25% off! Well, that does it for our small dive into the extended world of Monopoly. Every day I live knowing that Monopoly's SpongeBob Meme Edition exists is a day I stray further from God's light. And this video only goes over officially licensed, published by Hasbro Monopolies. I didn't even talk about the dark side of Monopoly clones and ripoffs like Clintonopoly or Bibleopoly. Maybe another time. But sometimes you gotta wonder, what compels someone to buy a licensed version of a board game, no matter how much they love whatever it's based off of? How'd that get here? Speaking of Clue, it's kinda in the same boat as Monopoly, like, oh boy, I wonder if Fred killed someone. That's it for today, folks. Make sure you like and subscribe and such, especially if you maybe want to see a future video about those Monopoly clones or Clue variants. But until next time, farewell. Oh. Oh, that was unpleasant.